My name is Victor Fatanmi. I will not be introducing myself further because I'm wearing my full story.
Victor.
I'm wearing my full story. I'm here to inform you all that your mom is not the best mom in the world. And the proof of my statement is in your reactions. You all think, no, you're wrong. My mom is the best mom in the world. And right there lies the proof to my point, because there can only be one best mom in the world, mine. The point here is that we all think our spouses, our dads, our moms, or most of us believe they're the best in the world because we are at close proximity to their goodness. We have seen their struggles. We have seen them rise from these struggles. While all of this has been within certain limits of respect, it has given us an oversized view of who they are and what they stand for. And right there is the entire point of storytelling. Businesses are able to replicate this effect when they do not only make it about their products and the final results, but they bring audiences closer, behind the scenes, where they're coming from. And not only the shiny, final stuff, but also the process to it, as well as the failings and the lessons that accompanies these failings. You probably will agree with this one, that Nigeria is not a real place. Okay. When I traveled to Benin Republic by road, at Seme border, I saw that the birds did not ask for permission from immigration as they just flew past left and right. And the waters or the air just moved on as though they were not really at a border, because Nigeria or Benin Republic only exists in the collective delusion of our minds. But that delusion is so strong that there's something I do on the left side, it's a crime. On the right side, it's a misdemeanor. Or it doesn't even mean anything. It's 21 years here, it's 4 years on this side. So suddenly it is real. So the next time someone tells you, can we focus on the real stuff? All of these things are intangibles. You let them know that the biggest things of their life, the passports they hold, the governments they obey, the constitution that rules their lives, are actually products of stories, fiction, but fiction that is collectively believed and then becomes real. Yuval Noah Harari would argue that religion and faith is a part of that category. I wouldn't agree on that, but you get the point. Nigeria is a story that we chose to believe. Who's following? Now, let's talk about something that you are very much familiar about. Let's talk about the most valuable company in the world, Apple. And it is no coincidence that the foundations for this company was laid by the greatest storytelling CEO of all time, Steve Jobs. Do you know this guy? Okay. There's something Steve Jobs, this guy, would like you to believe, would like you to understand, that many of us do not yet realize. That nobody cares about Web3, nobody cares about tech, nobody cares about the new, shiny technology that you have built or that you're trying to build. People care about people. They care about gists. They care about their dreams. They care about their ambitions. They care about where they're trying to go, what they want to achieve. And until we start to think from this perspective, we would struggle to break through the clutter to communicate the value propositions of our products. But then I have a question. Where are the next apples? Look around you. Where are the next apples? In our ecosystem, what are the signs? But there's someone seated here wondering, but Victor, do we really need apples here? Do these things work here for real? You know, that's in the West and in Europe. Our people here have real problems, right? Stories and all of these things are not really that important here. And when they make that argument, they probably refer to this diagram called the hierarchy of needs. And then they would say that here, in this part of the world, it is food, shelter, and sex that matters more to us, and safety. And until we solve these two problems, we esteem and social status are more imaginary. So they would say that these are the real issues, and this is how they would imagine Nigeria and Kenya and this part of the world. And they would say, leave the emotional stuff for Europe and US, right? That might be the argument. Also, let's take a quick look around us to our everyday life. Something's happening today, Saturday, and happens every single Saturday. It's called Owambe, right? And you see this people wear matching outfits with their peers, regardless of if they can afford it or not. But it does not matter. If you would give your limb, give your limb. You had to rep. You had to be there. You had to represent your families. In some cases, you had to represent your cliques. You had to match up. It's a matter of status, right? Now, does this look like food, sex, and safety? Okay, and we would seek all of these things regardless of whether those first layers have been secured. Then get on the streets, and you see the need to belong. It is in your mind that you think this Gucci is fake. It is not. And it represents a symbol of status for the young boys and girls on the streets. Because, my friend, this is a matter of levels. And you need to maintain your level. You need to level up. And you will see people pay 200 naira, extra 300 naira, just for the convenience of not going to queue at the bank. Convenience matters. Yeah, I'm not, I cannot go and queue like a mere man in the sun, and people would pay an extra fee for that. If we look well enough, we realize there's a lot of pointers all around us that point that this pyramid isn't necessarily the way we look at it. We have to rethink the pyramids. One more pointer. You would find the fathers who would not drink anything other than their favorite beer. It's a matter of identity. If it's not Star, if it's not Trophy, it doesn't matter the cost of whatever it is you're offering them. It's a matter of identity. And then in 2012, young men in Nigeria painted cows blue to celebrate the triumph of a club that does not know their names. This is the matter of identity. Right. So we need to rethink the pyramids. We need to have a different perspective. Maybe it's not a case of, the technical stuff being more important. Let's go back to the emotional stuff later. Maybe a better perspective is to see that these things flow together. At the core of our desires are real feelings. These feelings make us seek real things that then enhance those feelings further. It is not a pyramid. It's something that needs to flow together. Logic and emotion works together, and oftentimes we make emotional decisions and we look for logical excuses to justify them. There are two ways people get dragged on Twitter. There's a kind of person you drag when the story breaks out. People say, guys, can we get our facts right? Let's just hear from the other side. And there's the other category of people that when their story breaks out, people go like, whatever they said he did. Yes. There are existing sentiments, and we're looking for confirmation. Now, bias is not a bad thing. Don't say, let's be very clear and objective. We're never objective on anything. We just like to think that we are. Now, bias is a good thing. You just need bias in your favor. Are we following? And the act to this is stories. You need to attract, not only ask. So that by the time your sales teams are asking and knocking doors, there's a pull, there's a magnetic effect that your brand has already established through storytelling. What makes great storytelling? Service. It's based on service. Service to others. It's the impact that you've had in the past. It is not about you. What makes great storytelling? Relatability. Details. If I tell you I'm a Liverpool fan, the Liverpool fans in this room connect with me on one further step. If I tell you my mom is from Modakeke, and then everybody from Modakeke here connects with me one step further. If I told you that pasta like Lagos Babes is my best food, then Lagos Babes in the room connects with me one step further. The more details you share, the more relatable effect you achieve for your brand. Vulnerability, the ability to laugh at yourself, to tell the story of how you bought a car of 250K, spent 750K on it, and sold it for 80K, which is my story in 2016. The ability to look at your most embarrassing failings and be able to share them and highlight the lessons and your triumphs. That's what makes great storytelling. Intrigue, to excite people, to break out of the box, to give something new. And continuity. You don't come, tell us one story, and vanish off. Your story builds up over time. It's like a thread. What's the journey between this storytelling and traction? Well, your stories draw interest. User acquisition. Do you guys like the terms now? Right? Your storytelling provides context. And that increases conversion. When your salespeople sell, the chances of them really wanting to take action has already been supported by your effective storytelling. You earn positive buyers, and it means you get committed feedback instead of being bashed. Let me tell you this short story, guys. Someone wrote us a mail at FourthCanvas and said, I have struggled with this thing for the past 3 days. And they gave a detailed narration of something that should have been very frustrating. And then they ended their mail with, power to the creative ones. Wins arts retention. When you eventually acquire people with great storytelling, you're able to keep them on your product and to use the product further. And then it's storytelling, continued storytelling helps you to stay top of mind, which leads for that active usage as well. This is a journey towards traction. At the end, we need a combination of technical excellence, all of the engineering we've been talking about, all of the sales, distribution, effectiveness, those things that matter. Yes, we need them, but we need them to combine with compelling branding, which great storytelling helps to contribute to. That's how we can build great companies like Apple. But it's fine if we just want to build averagely successful companies, but if we want to build great companies that do not only make us money, companies that make impact, we can take a cue from the playbooks of these kind of companies. What we do not need are replicas of Apple. What we need is to learn from them and find our own voice and build our own brands. We need to take inspiration and build brands that people love. At FourthGap, we have raised over $100,000, which is all we have needed so far. We have a long list of investors waiting to invest in us when we start the next round by next week. We have attracted our first 4,000 signups in 2 months. Our people have managed projects worth over $90,000, and we have over 1,500 organic positive reviews on the internet, and over 50 people who can identify as evangelists of the brand based on how actively they talk about us. And we've got the placard too. People literally went on the streets and carried power to the creative ones in Uniben and in Futa. This is one of the effects that you can achieve with storytelling. So tell your story and inspire others to do it on your behalf. There are some things you do with the quality of your product, with the way you're telling your story, with remarkable acts that don't have to be scalable, but that can inspire stories even when you are not telling. A Virgin customer forgot a bag at the airport, and then Richard Branson got another plane to carry that airport and arrive at the destination faster than the main plane. That story has been told over 10,000 times. Virgin cannot do that every day. They would have run down. They would no longer exist. It is not always about scalable stuff. Sometimes do things that are not scalable, but they create stories that are scalable. Do we get the point? So, finally, don't just build. Don't just sell. Attract people with stories. Stories about you, stories about them, stories about the future. Thank you.
So, not all stories are interesting, right?
What's your name?
I'm Jeremiah. You know ourselves.
I can see your face. Go ahead.
Okay, not all stories are interesting. Do you filter up the interesting ones and wait, or rather, sorry, do you wait till you have an interesting story to tell it, or you just tell it regardless?
It's difficult for you to determine what is interesting. So you share everything. The audience determines what is interesting. Yeah. Okay, Sheva. Yeah. So final question.
Hi, my name is Shiba. So I've tried to talk about myself more on social media, especially Twitter, and I've had difficulties with knowing what to share. So if you could give like any tips on like how exactly do I determine what to share? Because I feel like I don't have a lot to share about myself as a person aside from business. Yeah.
Okay, that's a very good question. The cards that was distributed, there are 70 of them. I sat down and just traveled through my journey, and I started writing everything that comes to mind. Name of the room I stayed, name of this hostel, my dad's name, where this happened, where that happened. If you do an exercise like that for yourself, you realize you actually have a lot to share. If you were a prefect in school, what position were you in? What was your favorite subject? What's your favorite meal? Where did you meet your best friend? What's your favorite, what's the first phone you bought? What was the experience like? There's a long list of stories you can tell. And it's not always about just your work, because it's too boring if all you share is about serious stuff. You need a mix of everything, above what you do, beneath it, left, right, center. What happened, something funny, something serious, a lesson, an encounter, someone who helped you, someone you helped, someone you want to help. It's 360 degree. If you look well enough, you'll see that you have a good story to tell. Finally, guys, so that you don't overthink your storytelling, we all sit down and watch BB Ninja, and people just wake up and live their lives. They make meal, then they fight, then they dance, then they play a game, but we are glued to the screen. You know why? We all love gossip. Thank you.